wait a minute. What am I thinking? This is not a good idea. I was in the park for 15 minutes. 15. And I was like, I want to do this.
You're now watching Haunt Talk with your host Scott from Exploring Attractions and Rob from the Howling Hour, home for all things scary and spooky related.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Haunt Talk. My name is Scott.
And I'm Rob.
And today we're joined by a very special guest, our second guest on the show. Please welcome an actor from both Fright Fest's Scream Break and Not Scary Farm. Joey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm so excited to be talking about this.
Absolutely. So, do you have like a haunt name that you like to go by, or is just Joey just fine?
Honestly, I just go by Joey. I have so many different characters that I play at this point. I'm like, you guys could just call me Joey. Yeah.
That's what I figured too when I was doing my research. I'm like, he's all over the place, so I feel like Joey will suit him well. But guys, I want to preference. He works for both two different events, so this is gonna be fun to kind of get your take on everything. Kind of pick your brain a little bit, like we did with Crone. So, Rob, why don't you kick us off today with the exciting questions? Because I got some exciting ones too.
All right. Well, once again, thanks for coming on. We really appreciate you spending time with us and just giving us the opportunity to interview you. So appreciate that. My first question I got for you is just kind of, I was curious what kind of, I guess, sparked your interest in scaring or haunting, or what was like the driving force to get you to actually want to scare at these events?
So what really kicked it off for me was I went to Not Scary Farm in 2015 when the Deadly Seven were a thing.
Okay.
Ooh.
My dad was actually friends with one of the guys who was in the Deadly Seven. His haunt name was Boots, or he went by Boots. So my dad was like, hey, I know you've been watching YouTube videos about it. I know you've been itching to go. Do you want to go this year? I am like, yes, please. So we went that year and we walked in the gates and I was like, wait a minute. What am I thinking? This is not a good idea. I was petrified. That
was the same as me. Same story as me. I was so excited, and then I got there, and I was like, okay, never mind.
Yeah, no, I got in the gate, and I was like, oh, this is not going to end well for me. Okay, here we go. And then we started walking through Ghost Town, and I heard the sound of the metal just scraping across the floor. I heard people hitting the floor. I was like, what is that? What is that noise? What is making that noise? Because that does not sound human. And I just heard people shrieking, and like I saw people running, like full sprinting. I'm like, is this legal? Like, are we sure we're safe doing this? And then eventually we started walking down Ghost Town, and we started walking down Fog Alley, and ironically, the Deadly Seven happened to be right in front of the windmill, right next to the funnel cake. So my dad just grabbed him, and I actually got to go backstage, and I got to take a picture with two of the Deadly Seven. So
that's awesome.
I saw that. I saw people scaring, and I got to see them like backstage in light and just talking to them. I was like, I want to do this. This is cool. I was in the park for 15 minutes. 15. And I was like, I want to do this. And I have been scaring
in a 15-minute span. You made your decision for your career so far.
Literally, just like that. And I'm like, now here I am. I get paid to scare the daylights out of people.
Talk about a throwback right there. Deadly Seven, man. They had back that year. They had like a whole like intro, like a scaremony, if you will. It was so cool. I wish that we still had something like that. Obviously, they've been doing a lot more stories with like Sarah Marshall and everything, but like the Deadly Seven was so cool because I believe the Green Witch was a part of that, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah, the Deadly Seven and the Green Witch. It was kind of like the Green Witch and the Tricksters, but she got like this new band of whoever they were. They were the Seven Deadly Sins, and they were coming after you.
Yeah. Rob, did you ever get to experience that?
I did not. Wait, yeah, I did. No, yes, I did. I was trying to think how far back but yeah, my first year I think was like 2012 or
oh yeah, for sure.
13th. It was my first year. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was legit like a major turning point for Knott's, I feel. Like, kind of the
Yeah.
start of, like, a historic, like, now they're all about history and stuff like that. I feel like that
Right.
was that turning point right there. So you were you decided to go to Knott's, obviously.
Hmm.
But now you are at Screen Break, working for the springtime and scaring the living crap out of all those who dare to enter Magic Mountain. But I want to know, what are some of, like, the major differences between Screen Break, or Six Flags in general, and Scary Farm?
So for this event in particular, I'm pretty sure everyone's seen pictures, you've seen videos. This is like for Screen Break, it's way more of a party. It is less in your face, trying to scare the crap out of you. And it's more of just like we're here, we're gonna dance, we're gonna have fun, and oh yeah, by the way, don't forget there are monsters that are running around and may occasionally just kind of pop out at you. Because I
Don't be fooled
went
by my happiness, you
Don't
know?
be fooled by the boy running around with a frisbee in his back, because he's coming for your ass. Because
Man.
that's what's been so fun for me, is just it's just a different type of event. Because now I've been doing Not Scary Farm for the last 3 years, so getting to do like the scary, creepy, like the stalking, like the thrill of like the chase type situation with being a monster, like monster at Knott's, and then being told, oh yeah, we're letting you off your leash, have fun, go dance, go party, go encourage people to get drunk out of their mind. I'm like, I'm getting paid to do that? Say less.
Because going into like Fright Fest, obviously each haunt, I feel, has their core scare actors. But Fright Fest, one thing that Rob and I have, like, kind of given them their props about, is the fact of how connected everyone is. Like, all the scare actors, they're so supportive of each other. Has the support been the same for the scare actors coming from Scary Farm, from the Fright Fest actors?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Everybody has been so welcoming, and they're like, yeah, like, you guys are here. We're all here to do the same thing. We're all getting paid to do the same thing, and it's just scare. We're here to have a good time. So we've just been like, yeah, like, we're here for the event. We just happen to also scare at Not Scary Farm during the fall. That has been
Yeah.
the only thing, but everybody has been so amazingly kind to us since we've come in. They're just like,
That's
oh
awesome.
yeah, it's been the smoothest transition going from one event to another.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Rob and I talk about it so much, but the Fright Fest actors are so kind. They're such kind people.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, they
For
are
sure.
so nice.
No, that's awesome to hear, because actually, you know, when I saw some of my friends who worked at Scary Farm were saying that they were gonna go, you know, for Screen Break, and I was like, oh, that's, you know, I was excited. I was like, that's really cool, like, because you really don't. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but like, it's not so, like, you know, kind of promoted, like, oh, these guys are coming from here going to there. So when I saw that you guys were going over there, I was like, oh, this is it made the event even, like, so much more, like, I was like, all right, cool, we're getting people from, like, all over. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, no, it's been crazy, because as far as I know, there were 7 of us that came from Not Scary Farm just to go do Screen Break. And we're like, you know what? We have the availability in our schedules, so why not go haunt in the middle of March and April? Like,
That's cool.
It's only 2 nights a week. Why not?
Yeah, and exactly. It's only 2 nights versus doing it 5 nights a week for 8 hours. 5 nights a week for 8 hours versus doing it for like 5 hours or 2 days a week.
Yeah.
I am so down. Any day of the week, any time of the year, I would so do it over again.
That's cool. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but like, when you were going from, obviously, Not Scary Farm and you're going to Screen Break, was there like a different mindset you had to get into, or was it just like, oh, I'm gonna go there and kind of feel the vibe and just kind of play off what the event is like?
For me, I went into this event because I went as a guest last year for the first ever Scream Break. So I knew what the event was. I knew what the vibe was. I kind of knew what they wanted. So I was like, okay, now how the hell do I do it? Because I have been so used to playing this, because for people who don't know, I am the Reaper in Forsaken Lake. So top hat, corset, feathers sticking out of my shoulder.
Very serious.
Very serious, stoic character. It is like a damn statue walking through the zone. So I have to be so pretty and so poised and so put together. And then they're like, go be a frat boy. I'm like, please tell me where this makes sense. Finding that difference has been so hard. Just having to tell myself just let go and have fun and to not worry so much about being scary. I am like, they're giving me the costumes, they're giving me the makeup, and they're giving me the gear that I need to successfully do my job. I just need to go out and just perform like how I normally would. There is just no difference. It is just different character, but you're doing the exact same thing you are used to. The only thing that I am adding that I've never done on streaks before is I'm sliding, which has been, oh my lord.
Does that take a toll on your body? Yeah.
From my thighs down has been on fire every night. And then adding a slider show on top of it at least once a night, thank you. I am going to have the greatest leg day of my entire life doing this event. I'm getting leg weekends.
What was it like kind of bringing that slider show together with like the Haunt fam there?
Oh, it was just... Oh, it was a lot of fun. So a lot of the stuff that we are doing, like choreography-wise, was choreographed by Jinx and Crybaby.
That's awesome.
So they choreograph all the dancing that we do in the show is choreographed by them. And then when it came to like the big tricks, so like the limbo bar and like the bunny hops and like the 3-person jump that we have in the show, we're like, alrighty, what kind of tricks do we want to add in here? Like who can do what? Right, we're like, oh, who can do a toe drag? Like, oh, hey, I can do a toe drag. Who can do limbo? I can do limbo. It was just kind of like a pulling straws out of a hat, seeing what stuck, and just trying it with the music, seeing if it fit the timing, and if it didn't, okay, we'll put that trick somewhere else in the show. So it was a lot of fun just experimenting. There was really nothing set in stone until like the 4th day of rehearsals when we started running the entire show all together.
That's impressive, and look at how good the show is now.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a very awesome show.
It's nuts, but oh my lord, I am tired by the end of that show because I leave the stage. I think I counted 7 times.
Wow.
And I also think I hit the floor and slide around 21 times.
Wow.
That's impressive. That's gotta take a toll on the knees and the legs.
Not even the knees. It is my calves. From the going down, getting up, going down, getting up. My calves have been on fire. And on top of it, I have to slide during the week because I'm also on a slider team. So,
Eternal Nightmares, right?
Yeah, I'm on Eternal Nightmares.
Nice.
And so we're also starting our season now, and we're starting to workshop our show. And so my legs have just been throbbing for the last like 3 weeks. But I wouldn't trade it for anything because I'm having so much fun doing it. It's just cool. So much fun.
Do you just because you brought up the toll that it kind of takes, do you do like, obviously Scream Breaks kind of more a limited run, but like for Scary Farm, do you do like any kind of preparation, or it's like, okay, like I'm this many months out or this many weeks out, I'm gonna start doing this or I'm gonna start doing that? What's like the regimen for you to prepare for a scaring event for you?
For me, I want to say I start conditioning about a month and a half before we start the run. So it's a lot of cardio. Haunt is a lot of cardio. So like I'll like do like running on a treadmill, or I'll go out and I'll run, and I'll just run for as long as I can. And so eventually it gets longer and longer and longer and longer. Until
I've
I
talked to
eventually like,
tons of actors, and they all say the same thing. Like, if you want to like lose weight, haunt's the way to do it.
if you want to lose weight, doing a haunt event is
Yeah.
the best way to do it, because you're also going to have a blast whilst doing it.
Yeah, you burn so much there. It's crazy just how much
Oh
you're on
my
your feet.
Lord. Yeah, I want to say I walk, I want to say like 22,000 steps
Wow.
being on a street zone every night.
Wow. And that's like in what, 8 hours? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy.
I can imagine
I
the
don't
little
even
bubble you
know.
have there in Forsaken Lake too. Just like there, it's
Oh.
big, you know.
Yeah, because Forsaken Lake, like, it may look small. It's not small. It is a very long L, because we can go all the way down to the Gauntlet, and we can go all the way up to Fiesta Village.
Yeah.
So we have that entire L that we can traverse, and we have to cover. Oh, and mind you, I'm not even sliding in that zone, but I'm still exhausted come the end of the night, because that costume is made out of upholstery, carpet, and like
Oh,
Oh man.
that is why those costumes lasted for so long,
Yeah.
and that's why the costumes at Knott's last so long, is because they're made out of carpet and curtain.
That's smart.
They
That's
last
smart on
longer.
Knott's part, though. To be honest,
It is really smart, but oh
just super
dear
heavy.
Lord. My costume on the rack, I want to say, is about 15, 20 pounds.
Jeez.
Wow.
Wow.
My costume is not light.
And I'm sure
And-
there's a lot more heavier ones out there too.
Yeah, the stilt walkers that were in Chambers this last year, before they swapped them over to like gargoyle robed characters,
Mhm.
those like ghillie suits, those were no
heavy.
joke. Those
Yeah.
were heavy.
That's crazy. I kind of want to shift the focus over to Scare Farm now, since that's like your kind of main haunt. Take me through what exactly your character is for Scare Farm. We know you're in Forsaken Lake, and we know you're the Reaper, but what exactly is your role that you're going out to do when you step onto the streets?
So when we're going out, the character, the Reapers, because there's 4 of them. There's 2 male Reapers and there's 2 female, and they are the angels of death. They are basically the overseers of this zone, of all these damned people who are now stuck and can't leave. Because the story of the zone is, there is this cemetery in New Orleans that got washed away during a storm, and it flooded, and it sinks under the water. And then essentially something happened, and now the cemetery has now started coming back up every fall, and the water recedes, and the dead rise, and we all come back with it.
Ooh.
And it just does it over and over and over. And the more it happens, the more pissed those dead people get. So we get more and more and more aggressive as the years go on. So that's what I really liked about the zone, especially this last year, because people who walked through the zone this last year were like, what were they putting in y'all's lake water? Because we're not this aggressive. Like 2 years ago, I'm like, the dead are angry.
Yeah.
You've upset them.
When it's not working,
breaking
you got to
them from the
make
wrist.
changes, and it showed.
Yeah, and like when something's not working, changes need to be made, and this year's cast absolutely made changes.
Absolutely.
And I had so much fun, especially it being my second year in the zone. Going back, I was like, this is not the same zone I was in last year. I may be in the same costume, but the vibe is just so
It
different.
all comes down to the cast.
so
If you're
cool.
passionate
Right.
about it, you know,
Absolutely.
it's gonna make for a better
Absolutely.
experience, not only for the cast who are helping each other, but just for the attendees too. You know.
Oh yeah, it is 100% depends on the cast, because if you have a strong cast, your zone is gonna soar, or your venue in general is going to take off. I am so thankful for the people who we had in our zone this year because they were all phenomenal.
Shout out to Forsaken Lake, guys. Rob, what you got for
Shout
Scary
out to my
Farm?
lake. But yeah, so it just those characters in just that zone in general is just so much fun. And I'm so glad I get to be a part of that legacy of like I got to be there. I got to be in that zone. I got to live in it. Because who knows how much longer that zone is going to be around for.
Yeah.
It's going
Right.
on year number 6 of its existence.
Right.
And that's how long the Hollow existed for.
And yeah, I was gonna
6
say, and
years.
it just depends on the established. Like you have the established Carnival and Ghost Town.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're always changing for the other two. So it's like
Yeah, because Ghost Town's been around for, well, 50
you
years.
can't
It's
really
going on
get rid of
51
Ghost
years
Town
now.
with a old western
Exactly.
kind of
When
area.
your theme park is based around an old western town, taking out a zone that is themed to a ghost
Right.
town is
I
kinda
think
redundant.
everybody would like protest Knotts if that happened ever.
Absolutely. There are people who
Yeah.
would be like, I am going to another event now, thank you. But yeah, no, they would never. They would never, because that is the godfather of Haunt, is Ghost Town Streets. Like, anything happened to that zone, anarchy would ensue.
We would all be very, very angry. But I was just gonna mention as far as Forsaken Lake, I think you guys definitely this year really stepped it up. Really, you guys did a phenomenal job. More so, like for me, like I only went a few times last year, and I was like, I went through it once, and I was like, I want to go through it a few more times. And I think you guys have, out of all the zones, I think you guys have the hardest zone to work in because
Absolutely.
it's not on the maze layout. Like it kind of everything circles around you guys. So I think the way your guys' energy, the way you guys, whether you're serious or you're kind of just walking around statuesque, I think you guys did a really good job to get people to, okay, like let's go through Forsaken Lake to get to Fiesta Village or back to Ghost Town, because for the most part I feel like the maze layout circles around Forsaken Lake, and you don't really see too much foot traffic. But this year 100% there was a lot more foot traffic going through Forsaken Lake, and that just goes to you guys just kind of elevating that zone. So you guys, all of you did an amazing job.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it because we've gotten nothing but compliments about this last season, but it's true. Knott's operates like a clock where we are at the center where the hands are and everything else is around us. You could very easily go to Knott Scary Farm, hit every single maze, go through every single scare zone, and yet miss Forsaken Lake because it is in the middle.
Right.
You either have to want to walk through that zone and purposely walk through there, or you stumble into that zone going to do something else. Like going to Silver Bullet.
The Silver Bullet
or
Riders,
making
man.
your way through the-
Yeah.
The Silver Bullet Riders. Listen. Listen. If I get asked one more damn time, where is Silver Bullet, I might scream.
Listen, out of all the rides that Knott's to ride in Silver Bullet during Scary Farm, why not Ghost Rider?
The one thing I think is cool about like Silver Bullet is if you catch getting on Silver Bullet as the procession happens, that is a really cool moment.
Going up the chain lift.
That is going up the lift right as the procession goes off. We have seen a couple of illegal videos of that happening, and it is a really cool thing to see. I'm not even gonna lie. And then plus it's super foggy in Forsaken because we have like 8 or 9 foggers in our zone, and like 7 of them are on Mission Row by itself. Not even No Man's Land. There are 7 of them on
I was
going
to say, it felt a little bit more foggy that time, because I remember I was filming one time, and like someone was saying hi to me or something, and I was like, I don't even know who's talking to me right now, just because like I can't see anyone through the fog. It was like a very like big memory in my head because at number one, I was a little bit tipsy, and number two,
That is the best way to do a haunt.
number two, it was just like the fog was crazy, and I was like, I really do not know who's talking to me right now. It was crazy.
You never know in that zone sometimes, because I'll be walking through the zone sometimes, and someone will walk by me and say hi, and I'll be like, huh?
Like the cat.
Said hi to me, and I turn around, there's no one there. I'm like, oh, okay, bye. I'm gonna go back to doing my business.
I feel like I'm gonna steal this question for Rob, so hopefully I don't. But what's your favorite Scary Farm maze that you've been through?
Ooh, good one.
Oh my!
Or if you have to, top three,
That's
because
a
I
hard-
have to do a top three. So
Yeah, we asked the tough questions
Yeah.
here.
And I might have to do a top three. One I'm very biased about is Forevermore.
ooh, yes, yes,
Forevermore
100% with
was
you.
Really
so good. In one room that I remember so vividly, because it was the second maze I ever walked through. Because the first one I ever walked through was Pinocchio on Stroke.
Oh, same here.
We walked
It's
through
literally same here. That's crazy.
me and my dad walked through Pinocchio, exited, and immediately got in line for Forevermore. Because everything that night was like a walk-on. We waited for nothing. And then the room that I remember so vividly, and it still scares me sometimes, was the Telltale Heart room, where the floor vibrated and it was lighting up red and pulsing. And I was like, this? No. No. Little 13-year-old me was like, I'm done now. I'm gonna go. We did everything in 2015. We did everything except for My Bloody Clementine. That is the one thing we didn't do, and I'm so mad.
Yeah, I
didn't do
mean,
it 'cause
you
they haven't
weren't
put anything
missing
in the
much,
Mind Right
but for the
since.
fact of it being characters in there is pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the one thing I missed that year. I did everything that year. We did Dead of Winter. We did Black Magic. We did Paranormal Inc. on its opening year. And oh my god, that is probably my number two.
Okay.
Is Paranormal Inc. Just because it's just so good. Paranormal aged amazingly.
Yes.
And still
love
does over
Paranormal.
at Carowinds, I believe it is, right? Is that where it's at?
Yeah, it's over at Carowinds, but I haven't seen
And
any pictures.
I've seen
or
people
videos
said
of
it's
their
relatively the
version.
same, and I mean the fact that it still stayed up for that long at Knott's and then it moved over to a different park is insane.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah.
Yeah, and then oh god, okay, and then my number one maze. I might be a little biased because I am in it, but I love Cinema Slasher.
Woo!
Cinema Slasher is so
Nice.
cool. That maze. There's something I love 80s slashers. I love slasher movies in general. Those are like my favorite genre of horror are slashers. So the fact that I got to film something that is in that maze is so
Where were
cool.
you at?
That's cool.
I am actually in the first movie theater you walk in when they have the slasher of the night. I am in the Red Devil costume at the fraternity party.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
if anybody goes through that maze and sees a little guy in a Red Devil costume,
That is
me.
awesome. The little Easter egg there that we didn't know. I think
yeah, so I am in.
a lot of
Nice,
people would
nice.
agree with you on Cinema Slasher. For me, it'll always be Chilling Chambers this past year just because of the history of Knott's. But I mean, you're not alone there.
yeah.
I mean, there's tons of people who agree that Cinema Slasher was like top dog.
Oh
yes.
yeah, I think it's. I mean, overall, period. From in like the 10, 11 years I've been going, I think it's in the top 5 mazes I've ever been in. So it could even be like like number 1. So right there with you.
Yeah, no, that maze is insane.
All right, so I mean, I do this on my trips to haunt, and I kind of just to get myself hyped up. And I got to ask you, is there like a band or like a playlist that you listen to like right before you're gonna go out there and scare, or what's your kind of like your prep to like hype you up to go out and scare the crap out of all of us?
Oh gosh. What I really like listening to sometimes is I'll listen to Set It Off, like the band Set It Off sometimes. That's
Okay.
That's something I've done fairly recently. But when it comes to, at least from when I was in Forsaken these last 2 years, I would listen to the Zone soundtrack on my way over to Knott's. So I would just blast it in my
Okay.
car just to kind of put myself in the headspace of like, you're going to be listening to this for like the next 8 hours. Get used to it. But it was a great way to get myself into that headspace of like creepy, gothic, like drop the face,
Okay.
be like as straight faced as you can. Oh, it
Okay.
was just it, but it worked. It worked. That was like the best way that I could get myself into character was just listening to the music of the zone itself.
Nice. Nice.
Awesome. I mean, I guess with kind of getting prepared for Haunt and everything, is there like how long would you say your makeup and costume take for Scary Farm and vice versa with Scream Break now? Because I feel like Scream Break has a very like interesting, or Fright Fest in general has a very like interesting, like all the makeup artists there are super talented,
yeah.
but their cosmetics and their facials and everything are crazy, whereas Knott's also has it, but Knott's is more huge on costumes. So tell me what like the process is for both of them.
Okay, so for Knott's, my costume is insane. To put on my costume, it probably takes me, if I'm not rushing, maybe 10 to 15 minutes to put on. Because
That's
I
crazy.
have I have the top with the capes, and then I have to zip that up and clip it in the back. I have to put the pants on,
Yeah.
put on the socks, and then I have to put on the corset. And then in the back half of the season, I was wearing this long black wig that was like soaked in coconut oil, and then putting my top hat on because what I do for Dodoink, which is the soak my hair, and I would put mousse and coconut oil in it. But my hair, when it dries, it frizzes like crazy. So as I'm
Okay.
sweating and I'm running around in a scare zone, I would eventually start growing hair on the sides, and I would go from the Reaper to the Mad Hatter. So I was like,
That's awesome.
not what I'm aiming for. It looks hysterical for us, but in theory, not great for my character. So I eventually just started wearing a wig. But the actual makeup time, my makeup every night for at least the Reaper only takes about 20 minutes. But it's all
Okay.
airbrushed on.
Okay.
And then they do
Yeah.
line details with like a brush. For Scream Break, my costume I can throw on
In 2
like
minutes.
literally 2 minutes. It is a long sleeve, a t-shirt, and shorts. That is easiest costume I've ever worn in my entire haunt career. Like, I thought my Mesmer costume was easy. No.
Yeah.
The Doink is so ridiculously easy. The part that takes me the longest is putting on my slider gear.
Yeah.
But my makeup time. I am in the makeup
Here we
chair
go.
for 45 minutes to an hour getting my makeup
Crazy.
done. But
It's so impressive what they do though.
it is
It's so
incredible
impressive.
because my friends came and visited us this last weekend on Friday on the third night, and they were looking at my makeup and they're like, I can't find the damn seam on your face. I'm like, that's
awesome.
the point.
Yeah. You're like, it's not a mask.
I'm like, this is not a mask. Like, this is glued onto my face.
Yeah.
And that's been another really big challenge, has been navigating wearing a prosthetic. I've never worn a prosthetic before for a haunt ever in my life. Ever, like, from when I started when I was a little kid all the way up to when I was the Reaper this last year, I had never worn a prosthetic ever. Then when I got casted as the Doink, and I'm wearing this full face prosthetic, and it's two pieces. I have an upper face piece that goes to my upper lip, and then I wear a lower chin piece that also covers my lower lip. So my entire face is covered except for like this. So it's insane. And then they just go in with the details. And being a pop art zombie, Not on my bucket list, but glad I did it.
Yeah, and you mark it off. I mean, it's just shout out to all just the makeup artists in general. But yeah, shout out to the Six Flags artists. I mean, they do some crazy work when you think about like the fact that they do have specific characters and stuff that they work with to bring these prosthetics to life. But the fact of the matter is that is literally the majority of those characters just at Fright Fest in general. They're all wearing prosthetics. It's incredible.
Yeah, because that's one thing with streets, at least that I've been told from my time being at Six Flags, which hasn't been very long. But one thing that they have told me is that if you are on streets, you are in a prosthetic unless you discuss with them prior, like, hey, I can't do to X, Y, and Z. Other than that, you are in a prosthetic, which is incredible that they take the time to put, I want to say, probably hundreds of talent into prosthetics.
That's crazy.
Because the amount of time it takes to glue them down and then paint the talent and then like paint all the fine details that you don't even see in the dark, but they're there. So when you get pictures of them or pictures with them, they look incredible. It's insane.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, everyone knows I love Six Flags, but their makeup artists and all, like Scott was saying, all the makeup artists, even Knott's and Universal and all the other places, they do such a phenomenal job. I really like. It's hard to know who does which character and everything, but all of them do an amazing job. So props and shout out to all of them because specifically you're speaking at for Screen Break, like the makeup just looks like phenomenal. Like you're saying, you can't see it. I'm there. I take pictures and I'm like zooming in and I'm like, because I'm like conscious of like, well, I don't want to get the lines, but I can't see a line, so I'm like, all right, we're good.
Like shout out to our makeup artists across the haunt community in general.
Yes,
it's a big team just overall between production, makeup artists. Like there's so much that goes into haunt.
Everyone behind the scenes of haunt, you guys do not get enough recognition because like we're the monsters, we're like the show, but without you guys, there would be no show. If we don't have people to create the monsters, create the stories for the monsters, create the costumes, we would not have these events. And the people who work behind the scenes of these events do not get enough credit. Like,
I agree. Firsthand from being in the haunt community for 10 plus years, like the amount of people I've talked to and everything, it's incredible. Like, I don't even talk about it publicly. I talk about it with my friends and stuff like that, but it's just incredible, the things that I hear and see. And honestly, that's why I get so defensive about haunt sometimes, is because I'm like, yeah, but you guys just don't know what actually goes into it. Like, there's just so much that goes into it that I can't really talk about, but it's insane.
Yeah.
But we're going to wrap it up here a little bit. So with that, I want to, Rob, your question, make it a juicy one. I have a juicy one for him too. All right. So let's end it off with a juicy one.
I'm ready.
Okay. So normally I know people get asked the question, what's your favorite scary movie? But we're not going to do that today. Today, we're going to make it a little more difficult. I'm going to ask, who is your favorite horror icon? Now, it doesn't have to be a slasher or villain, or it could be one of the final girls, one of the final guys. Who's your favorite horror icon?
Favorite horror icon? Oh, I'm not going to lie, if we're going down this route, Sidney Prescott.
Okay.
Yes.
Sidney Prescott is the baddest bitch to walk the face of the earth, and I will die on that hill.
I'm right there with you. I am right there with you.
That's awesome. So for me, I want to know, rapid fire here, what is your most memorable, both good and bad haunt story?
Oh God, most memorable story. For Dodoink was getting my first bracelet that someone made personalized that said his name. That's
cool.
The coolest thing ever. I was like, you guys really took the time to come back to this event. You paid money. You drove here. You drove to Valencia to give me a bracelet.
Literally to Valencia, out of all the places.
Out of all places, Valencia, in the middle of nowhere. Excuse me, to give me a bracelet. It literally melted my heart, and I had to go run, and I like hid my head inside of the big beer pong cups, and I was like, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna run, I'm not gonna let my makeup run, I'm not gonna cry out my contacts. No. Worst one was when somebody went and grabbed my frisbee. When people were grabbing my frisbees, I'm like, I get y'all are drunk, but I'm like, calm down. There's enough to go around. Don't grab my frisbees. And then for Scary Farm, I have two favorite stories. Is when I scared Pasta my first year as an 18-year-old. I hold on to that with every fiber of my being, because I was in Mesmer. I was hiding in the violin room, and I popped that curtain into the clock hallway, and she went.
That's scaring a legend right there.
I know. I was like, I just scared Pasta. And I did get a killing it card for that. So I was like,
woo!
And then, my worst story was for Scary Farm. Oh dear Lord. What can I say without getting in trouble?
just do a quick little brush off. We don't want anyone to get in trouble here.
Probably, like chasing after someone and then sending them tumbling down the tunnel into Ghost Town.
Okay, that's fair enough. So anyways. And Joey, really appreciate you coming on. We want to do more guests, and we're honored that you are a second guest of Haunt Talk here.
Yeah, no, I've had so much fun. I'm so glad I got to talk to you guys about these events and just like the haunt industry in general. Like, this was so much fun. I'm so glad I got to do this.
Yeah, we'll be putting like all of his links down below where you can find his Instagrams and stuff like that. Rob, have anything else to say?
No, just again, I'm going to echo Scott. Thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate, your time and also just everything you do and scaring us. I mean, it's weird to say thank you for scaring us, but thank you for scaring us and putting a smile on our haunt soul.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, and I appreciate everybody, and I can't wait to have more on, setting up more guests for sure. But let us know down below in the comments section what you thought of today's episode, and please subscribe to both Exploring Attractions and the Howling Hour, and follow our Haunt Talk Instagram for all the juicy clips. But with that being said, my name is Scott, and you've been watching Haunt Talk. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.